The human psyche is organized in such a way that it reacts more strongly to negative stimuli. This could be unwanted information, hostile action, danger, or simply negative energy. Of course, positive influences can also generate strong emotions, but fear and anger far outweigh joy and fun. The reason for this imbalance dates back centuries, when fear and anger were decisive factors for survival. What good is joy? It will not help you protect yourself, avoid danger, or obtain food. And then, a life full of hardship and deprivation throughout. History brought more pain and fear than joy and fun. Hence the tendency for people to succumb more easily to dull thoughts and depression, and joy passes quickly. Have you ever heard of a normal person suffering from excessive fun and stress and depression all the time? Such characteristics of human perception are actively used by the media, i.e., pendulums. You rarely hear good news on news programs. It is usually done like this. Some negative fact is taken. It is unraveled. New details emerge. All this is savored and dramatized in every possible way. Other negative news is presented on the same principle. Disasters, natural disasters, terrorist acts, armed conflicts, etc. Pay attention to a pattern. Events unfold like a spiral. First there is a build-up, then a promotion. The tension rises more and more than the climax. Emotions are already burning strongly. And finally the denouement, all the energy is sprayed into space and a temporary pause occurs. Remember the waves crashing on the shore. Endless television series are based on the same principle. From an objective point of view, there is nothing special about the series. All the drama is literally sucked out of thin air. But it is worth watching 2 or 3 episodes, and it is captivating. Why? After all, nothing particularly interesting happens in the series. Because the frequency of mental radiation is picked up by the pendulum of the series, and the person's attention is fixed on this sector. Let's take a look at the mechanism of the aforementioned spiral. First, a person is faced with a fact that theoretically can excite them, or perhaps not. Let's say this is news of a negative event somewhere in another country. This is the first impulse of the destructive pendulum. If the news touches a person, they begin to respond to the impact. They express their attitude, experiences, and therefore radiate in response the energy of the same order as the first shock. With the same frequency, this person, like thousands of others, responded to the pendulum with their interest and participation. The radiation resonated with the pendulum, which means that its energy has increased. The media continues its campaign. The person follows the development of events with interest, and the pendulum is fed again. This is how the pendulum attracts adherents to its networks and extracts energy from them. Interested people let in negative energy and get involved in the game, for the moment as spectators. At first glance, nothing special happened, just something commonplace. So what happens if a person donates some of their energy to feed a destructive pendulum? This had virtually no effect on their health. However, in fact, by radiating energy at the frequency of a negative event, a person moves towards the line of life, where such events occur closer and closer to themselves. A person participates in the loop and finds themselves in the zone of action of the spiral, which unrolls and draws them towards itself like a funnel. The interaction between a person and a pendulum is getting closer and closer. A person already accepts the mentioned event as an inevitable part of their life. Their attention begins to work selectively. Wherever they find new facts in different countries, a person discusses this news with friends and family, receiving a response from them in the form of interest and sympathy. The energy of the pendulum grows, and the person approaches the frequency of its radiation to the lines of the event, where they are no longer an outside observer, but a direct participant. Let us define such a phenomenon of being drawn into a funnel as an induced transition to the lifeline, where a person becomes a victim of a destructive pendulum.